Stand by. I'm going to bring in former Governor Rick Snyder now, who started a venture last fall that we've written about and had him on the show. Go ahead and unmute there, Rick, and give us your video. There you go. And his is called Senscy. Right now, fractional stuff is really big. It's fractional CEOs, CFOs, and essentially what Rick and his team have done, and it's a pretty illustrious team when you look at who's on it. In fact, I know most everybody on his team, so that we would go back a ways. They're more of a fractional CIO, CISO, that sort of thing, right, Rick? Would that be the good way to define it?
That's a good way to put it, Mike. For people with a technical background, we like to say that, yeah, we're there to help the people that are unsophisticated in IT, that don't have the resources. And like you said, we can provide a wraparound service to really make them much safer, and it's badly needed. Small and medium-sized organizations really don't have a lot of places to turn for help. And that's why we created Senscy, for sensible cyber.
Yep. And so let's talk about who some of the other team members are. I mean, it's a who's who of the people I worked with over the last 20 years. But so you got a great team there. Talk a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, it's an awesome team. Bhushan Kulkarni is actually a serial entrepreneur in the software area in the Ann Arbor area for decades. He's created two wonderful companies, GDI, Infotech, and then InfoReady. So he's got a great organizational background to help us do these things. And then David Bean was my CIO at the state of Michigan and director of the Department of Technology Management and Budget for 6 years. Then he went off to be CIO at Lazy Boy. And Dave Kelly was a captain in the Michigan State Police and stood up and ran the Cyber Command, which talk about having experience and wonderful background. And the last person I mentioned was Raj Patel. He built and ran the Plant Moran's cybersecurity practice. So it's a wonderful group of people. You can't do better. If you're doing a startup, that's one of the things, is to have wonderful people as partners.
Yeah, and the way you have it structured, I don't know exactly what the pricing is now, but I know that it's priced with the smaller businesses in mind. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So we have a very affordable solution. It's $750 a month if you have 20 or less active emails. From 20 to 100, it's 1,000. From 1,000 to 200 or 100 to 250, it's 1,500 a month, and so on going up. And we geared it to be very affordable. If you tried to price what we offer sort of a la carte, it would cost you a lot more money because we think it's important to be affordable. We understand the limited resources of most small and medium-sized organizations.
Yeah, it's always a money thing, and and it's a hard sell sometimes for the CEOs because it's not a profit center. I mean, they're really, or the CFO for that matter, because they're oriented around let's do revenue producing. But if your business is shut down by the bad guys, you're not going to produce much revenue, are you?
No, absolutely. The cost of a successful cyber attack on a business can be quite devastating, regardless of your size. In many cases, you may be out of essentially operations for several days, could be weeks. And then the cost to come back and get set up, the expertise you need to bring it back is very expensive. And then just the damage to your customer relationships. If they happen to get critical information, your customers, your clients are going to say, can we trust you with this important information? So in some cases, literally, companies go out of business because of a cyber attack.
Yep. I got hit with one about 10 years ago. It was just a minor thing. It was some hacker kid that was showing off to his friends that he could hack my website. But I was down for about 3 days because we had to really go through it, and clean it up and redo it and all that stuff. So yeah, it didn't cost me a lot of money, just a lot of time. And it was very annoying. So
Yeah, well, you had the expertise to even do that and know how to work on those things. If you step back and look at it, it can be a real problem. So part of what we do is we help do a lot on the prevention side, obviously, in terms of training, in terms of phishing exercises, good policies. Well, one of the things we added in, because we understand this issue, is we actually have a template for an incident response plan, because that's something you should have on the shelf. You don't wait to figure out your fire plan when the fire is already going on. Same thing is true in cybersecurity. You should have a plan on all the steps you need to take if you had to have something happen. And it's amazing, as we've done Senscy scores for organizations, we find that by far less than half of our organizations have an incident response plan.
Yeah, I can believe that. It's still an afterthought for a lot of, like I say, CEOs and CFOs, but you don't want to wait till the horse gets out of the barn in order, like you say, to implement it. Then it's too late. So it's great that you're doing that, because again, I run a small business and I know money is always touchy part, trying to get everything funded, and this is just one more thing that you have to pay for. So, but it's very reasonably priced, because I'm very
Yeah.
familiar with how, and Tamara can speak to that too, how much it would cost if you hired a full-time CISO. You're into some serious money, like 175,000 a year or more, right?
Yeah, it's very expensive. There's no way most small and medium-sized organizations could afford a full-time security person, let alone find one.
Right.
So it was great you had Tamara on though before. It was great to work with her back in my days as governor and all the cyber patriot stuff. We've done so many great things to help Michigan and beyond with their cybersecurity profiles. And this is just another way to do it. If you look at it, there's about 6 million small and medium-sized organizations out there, and the vast majority are woefully prepared in terms of cyber issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you've taken it one step further. A good segue there. You're now working with Automation Alley and Oakland University on a new cyber center. Now, I read the press releases, but I want you to explain to me exactly what's going to go on there.
Yeah, the center is a very broad thing, and it's wonderful to have it come to Michigan. And Oakland University and Automation Alley are great partners to lead the effort. There's a lot of educational efforts, internships, research that will be done, particularly by Oakland University. But our role in it, and we think it's a very critical role, is we're going to work with the university and particularly Automation Alley in terms of doing research on the current state of the cyber market. And the way to do that is we invented something called the Senscy score that we offer free to anyone that wants to get their cyber profile, their cyber health report. But we're going to do it for up to 1,000 organizations that will go through a selection process by Automation Alley and Oakland University to be part of this research study. And what is a Sensei score? It's roughly about 40 interactive questions. It takes less than a half hour to do, and it gives you a quantitative number that is essentially equivalent to like your credit score. It's on a 1,000-point scale. If you do 800 or better, just like your credit score, you're in pretty good shape. If you're less than 500, you probably shouldn't sleep very well at night. There are certainly things you should be doing. 5 to 800, you got your work cut out for you. And so we think the score is a great quantification of where we are at in the cyber world, and to help an organization understand where they are at, because cyber is like speaking Martian to somebody. If you just talk back and forth, it doesn't relate to most small business people. If you give them a number, then they know they got something they can react to.
Yeah, it's, small businesses, they're really good at something, but it probably isn't cyber.
No.
We work with a lot of different industries, and I can tell pretty quickly how savvy they are on business stuff. But I hardly ever hear them speak of cybersecurity, so which of course is not a good thing.
Well, again, you wouldn't expect them to. If you're a small business, you got to focus on what your business is.
Right.
And that's why we created Sensei, to be that trusted guide for them, because we don't expect them, nor could they afford or get a full-time cyber resource in-house.
Right.
So let's be that partner for them. Let's help give them a Sensei score. Let's let them know where they stand, their cyber health, and watch that score improve. It's been great as we've worked with clients already over the last year. We've seen their scores go up dramatically once we've had a chance to put our solution in place with them and partner with them on doing much better.
I think a big part of it is what Tamara alluded to in her presentation of phishing attacks. People got to understand that if it's something strange, even from friends, if you're not expecting an email from a friend, don't necessarily click on it. What I do is I will send an email back to that friend and say, "Did you just send me something?" And they go, "No, I didn't send you anything." And I go, "Okay, well, you've been hacked then, so." But that's just me. I'm sure a lot of other people don't do that, right?
No, and people should. You're good at, Mike. So you want to build in that time lag instead of just clicking automatically on whatever you get. Stop and pause, look at it. Does it make sense? Is it too good to be true? Everyone's getting these email, and
Well,
it's far too easy to click on them. And that's one thing to remind people about cybersecurity. Over 80% of the cyber incidences that people suffer are because of human error. It's not a technology issue as much as just people not understanding what they should do and what's good hygiene.
All right. So getting back to the new cybersecurity center, when is that scheduled to open, or has it already opened? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's just kicking off. So there'll be actually a meeting this week where hopefully it'll be a lot of the kickoff with the major partners. We'll be part of that, and hopefully we'll get back with you more with more information as they sort of decide how to help line up those 1,000 potential scoring situations. Because we'd love to work with Michigan organizations, particularly manufacturers, infrastructure-based companies, because that's the nature of this grant is how to keep our world safer in terms of protecting us from cyber attack.
And certainly.